For decades, the bass guitar existed in the background of popular music. It was the instrument that held everything together, but rarely took the spotlight. The groove, the pulse, the foundation. Yet, in the 1970s, one musician completely transformed how the world saw the bass. A virtuoso who could move effortlessly between upright jazz bass and electrifying funk grooves. A composer who blended jazz, rock, classical, and soul into something entirely new. A performer whose speed, tone, and musical imagination stunned audiences around the world. His name is Stanley Clarke. From jazz clubs in Philadelphia to global arenas with the legendary band Return to Forever, Clarke helped invent the sound of jazz fusion and redefined what the bass guitar could be. This is the story of the bassist who turned rhythm into revolution. Before we continue, subscribe now, like this video, comment, and share. Stanley Clarke was born on June 30th, 1951, in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Philadelphia in the 1960s was a vibrant musical city. Jazz clubs, soul groups, and gospel choirs filled the streets with sound. Music was everywhere. Clarke originally wanted to play violin as a child, but when he went to school to pick up the instrument, there were no violins left, so he was handed something much bigger, an upright bass. At first, it seemed like an accident, but it would become destiny. Clarke studied classical bass throughout his youth and quickly developed remarkable technical ability. By the time he was a teenager, he was already performing professionally around Philadelphia. He later attended the Philadelphia Musical Academy, where he studied classical performance and orchestration. Yet even while mastering classical music, Clarke was drawn to jazz. The improvisation, the freedom, the groove. He began exploring the electric bass as well, an instrument that was still relatively new in jazz at the time. This combination of classical discipline and improvisational creativity would become a defining feature of his sound. In the early 1970s, Stanley Clarke moved to New York City, the epicenter of the jazz world. For a young bassist, it was both intimidating and exhilarating. New York's jazz scene was filled with legends and innovators pushing music into new directions. Clarke quickly began performing with some of the most important musicians of the era. He recorded and toured with artists such as Horace Silver, Stan Getz, Art Blakey. But his life changed forever when he met one of the most visionary pianists in jazz history, keyboardist and composer Chick Corea. In 1972, Chick Corea formed a new band that would become one of the most influential groups in jazz history. The band was called Return to Forever. Its goal was ambitious: blend jazz improvisation with rock energy, Latin rhythms, and cutting-edge electric instruments. Stanley Clarke became the band's bassist, and quickly one of its stars. Return to Forever featured an extraordinary lineup including Chick Corea, keyboards, Stanley Clarke, bass, Lenny White, drums, Al Di Meola, guitar. The group became a defining force in the emerging genre known as jazz fusion. Their albums, including Romantic Warrior and Hymn of the Seventh Galaxy, showcased explosive musicianship and complex compositions. But what truly shocked audiences was Stanley Clarke's bass playing. He didn't just accompany the band, he led it. Before Stanley Clarke, the bass guitar was rarely treated as a lead instrument in jazz or rock. Clarke changed that completely. His electric bass tone was powerful, aggressive, and melodic. His solos were fast, intricate, and filled with emotion. He combined techniques rarely heard before in jazz bass: lightning-fast fingerstyle runs, slap bass techniques, chordal playing, classical upright bass phrasing. For the first time, audiences saw a bassist commanding the stage like a guitarist, or saxophonist. His performances turned the bass into a headline instrument, and listeners couldn't get enough. In 1976, Stanley Clarke released what would become his most iconic solo album, School Days. The title track became one of the most recognizable bass compositions ever recorded. Driven by an unforgettable riff and explosive energy, the song demonstrated Clarke's extraordinary ability to blend jazz, funk, and rock. For bass players around the world, School Days became a rite of passage. It proved that the bass could carry an entire composition. Even decades later, the track remains one of the most celebrated bass recordings in music history. While Clarke was rooted in jazz, his music was deeply influenced by funk. During the late 1970s and 1980s, he collaborated extensively with keyboardist George Duke. Together, they created a series of albums blending funk grooves, jazz improvisation, and soulful melodies. Their musical partnership produced hits like Sweet Baby, I Just Want to Love You. The duo's chemistry was undeniable. Clarke's bass grooves combined perfectly with Duke's keyboard arrangements and soulful vocals. Their music crossed genres and introduced jazz fusion audiences to funk rhythms. In the 1990s and 2000s, Stanley Clarke expanded his creative vision into film and television. He became one of the most respected composers in Hollywood. Clarke has written music for dozens of films and TV series, including Boys and the Hood, Passenger 57, Romeo Must Die. Film scoring allowed Clarke to explore orchestration, storytelling, and cinematic emotion. His classical training, the same discipline he developed as a child studying upright bass, proved invaluable in this new world. Through film music, he reached audiences far beyond jazz and fusion fans. Even as he expanded into film scoring, Stanley Clarke never stopped performing live. In the 2000s, he formed the Stanley Clarke Band, a group designed to showcase young virtuoso musicians. The band blended jazz fusion, funk, and modern improvisation. Their self-titled album won the Grammy Award for Best Contemporary Jazz Album in 2011. Once again, Clarke proved that innovation never stops. Even after decades in the music industry, he continued pushing the boundaries of what jazz could become. Quote 1, "I don't want to be known as just a jazz musician. I just want to be known as a musician." Quote 2, "The bass is the foundation of the band. If the foundation is strong, everything else can shine." These words capture Clarke's philosophy perfectly. Music isn't about categories, it's about creativity. Stanley Clarke's influence on bass players is enormous. Generations of musicians cite him as a primary inspiration. Artists such as Victor Wooten, Marcus Miller, Jaco Pastorius all helped push bass into the spotlight. But Clarke was among the first to truly lead the movement. His ability to combine virtuosity, groove, and musical storytelling changed how the world hears the bass. Today, he remains one of the most respected musicians in jazz history. A pioneer, a virtuoso, and a revolutionary. In music, revolutions often begin quietly. A new sound, a new idea, a new way of hearing an instrument. Stanley Clarke did not simply play bass, he reinvented it. From Philadelphia jazz clubs, to international stages, to film studios in Hollywood. His music continues to inspire musicians across generations, because sometimes the most powerful voice in a band comes from the lowest notes. And when Stanley Clarke plays, the world listens. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and share. See you in the next video.